Good morning from very deep south in the southern hemisphere. I am starting a 30-day daily energy check-in. I have some time off work and I've been really looking forward to picking up my tarot cards again, flexing my tarot muscles, and it's part of a broader kind of energetic meditation for a month. It just happens to coincide with the end of the year, which is great. I have the opportunity to spend quite a bit of time in solitude, and so yeah, this is day one. These energy check-ins, although I guess they may evolve over the 30 days, I don't know. But for now, my intention is to just look at the moment. The reading is for whoever watches. We become the collective that is energetically tied to this reading. So the focus is on the here and now, and it will have a little bit of past, a little bit of present, and a little bit of where is this energy trajectory going on? What is the essence? What is the texture of this energy here as I sit here this morning? I'll be using two decks. Well, two tarot decks, the Light Seers Tarot and the Wild Unknown Tarot. I don't have a lot of tarot decks, and these are definitely two of my favorites. I like to use this deck for the more conscious aspects, the things that we're aware of, and the wild unknown for the unconscious or subconscious, things that are out of our view. So sort of like the light and shadow aspects. And then my intention is to look at one oracle card at the end just to tie it out. So let's get going. So we have the King of Swords. Really gorgeous. There's so much going on here. This king appears to be high up in the mountains somewhere, really, really elevated. And there are lots of creatures here. So the King of Swords, the swords in general, as I'm sure you know, I'm just checking my placement of the cards. So kings, of course, are the masculine energy in its most mature form. Swords are about communication, ideas, perspectives, thinking, everything to do with the mental and the communication of the mental. So this is the highest form of that masculine energy. So that's an interesting start. Very elevated, as I said, high up in the mountains, and pretty cool, calm and collected in quite a sort of reflective space. The Eight of Pentacles, let's have a bit of a closer look at that. So this is a Pentacles card. It's to do with our material 3D experience and the domain. Being an 8, it has to do with mastery of that particular domain in a particular cycle. So we see here an individual, and I notice that their back is turned. They're busy, they're at their desk. Books, pestle and mortar. So different ideas of what work means. And over here are the various moon phases. So it reminds me of that idea that, I don't know what they say, if it's 1,000 hours or 14,000 hours, that doesn't seem possible, right? But anyway, this idea that you master a particular technique after some many hours of practicing. And this character is working into the night. All right, so that's kind of the present energy of today. Mastery, work, the things that we do that help us to have a sound material foundation to life. Let's take this one over here. And then the Seven of Cups. Let's just have a look at that. This is somebody who is contemplating different choices, different options available. Being part of the Suit of Cups, of course, it's emotions. So, and also if you look very closely at this depiction, you'll notice the Snakes and Ladders game that I certainly used to play as a board game as a child. And it's this idea that if you're going along the board, you throw the dice and you move the number of places, and if you get to the bottom of a ladder, you can go up that ladder and ascend and progress in the journey quite rapidly. But just as easily, you could throw the dice and find, I guess, the head of a snake and then go all the way down to a lower level. So this person appears to be thinking quite carefully and quite deeply. And I would say, in fact, let's bring that one in the middle. There is very much this reflective sense here. Here, this is us in quiet, meditative, very elevated thinking mode. This king, being a king, let me also add, contains the other kings in his highest forms. So this is also somebody who understands mastery of the material world and mastery of the emotional world, as would be embodied in the King of Cups, and the King of Wands is in this king as well, energy, direction. So it feels, just as a point of departure, that there is something to do with our material lives today, our work, our mastery in this world, and some kind of reflections on ideas and ways of seeing things, but also the emotional consequences of different choices. So let's play a little bit with this further and see what in the unconscious, subconscious, the things that we are not aware of, that are out of sight. Let's take this one. We have the Hermit card. It's beautiful, old tortoise, you know, they can live to 150 odd years. And the Hermit card, of course, is usually, well, first of all, it's a major arcana card, number 9, and it's at a point in the larger spiritual journey where we absolutely have to take time out, and we wander off, up, out of town, up into the mountains, carrying our lantern, our internal light of wisdom with us. And we go into a kind of reclusive mode, and contemplate and reflect. So there's a very strong reflection energy here, even in the subconscious. So just on the off, where we're coming in from today, feels very much like this is, in fact, may appear to be work-related and 3D material life-related, but actually there's something pretty deeply spiritual going on here. So let's get another card. There's a nice one. This is the Four of Swords. Very interesting again. This is a 4, so it's early on in some kind of life cycle, short-term cycle that we're in. As a 4, it's about stability. All 4 posts are in the ground. But this is swords, and in the traditional Rider-Waite deck, you may be familiar with this card with the 4 swords pinned to the wall and somebody lying down and taking a rest. And it's about literally taking time out to rest our minds, to reflect on what we've done thus far, usually having just embarked on some kind of new journey. This is such a pretty little card with this beautiful little lamb whose third eye is wide awake with the sun. And it's this idea of, you know, before we grow up and become adults and have life experiences that make us jaded or cynical or stop trusting ourselves, others, and the universe, I guess, we tend to be very tuned in to ourselves, our instincts, and to other realms, really. So, and the sun as an energy, of course, you know, is the sublime masculine energy again, divine masculine energy. And so again, there's this feeling of taking time out, resting, and tuning in to this deeper spiritual self, reconnecting back to that spiritual self. This is very much about us out in the world, as I said, in this material domain. This is calling us, just for a period of time, to take time out and connect to our higher selves and our higher purpose. So let's get one final card for this and see what we can see about this 7 of Cups, the emotional aspect. And here we have the 5 of Cups. So we have a Cups clarifying and representing the shadow side of a Cups card. This, again, traditionally in the Rider-Waite, is usually depicted by a character looking very sad and forlorn, with 3 spilt cups in front of them, representing emotional losses or mishaps in a way. And there usually are 2 cups behind the character, and the character's just ignoring them, doesn't see the remaining potential for emotional fulfillment and so on. This particular rendition of this card just always carries a lot of shame with it for me. The way this horse's head is just kind of hanging in shame. So Perhaps it's difficult. Perhaps this is the quandary, the emotional quandary here about different choices that we have. Maybe that's what it feels like. This is an opportunity today. If we can take 5 minutes or half an hour out, or maybe like me, there's a whole period of time set aside for this kind of work. But we've got a lot of mastery here available to us, but it seems that for today, the issue is an emotional one. There's something about some kind of choice that we need to make, and we're unsure about the emotional side. There's a shame that is operating in the background that is giving us cause to pause. What do we choose that will not bring up feelings of shame or generate shame? This King of Swords can be quite prideful. There's a lot of confidence in this character, and it can be a stubborn energy on how we perceive, the swords, about how we perceive our circumstances, the world around us. And there's a lot of confidence. I think the downside of the 10,000 hours or whatever it is that takes to master is an overconfidence or losing the beginner's mind. That Buddhist idea of the beginner's mind, where you go back to your innocence from knowing everything about your subject or your skill set, being the expert, to going back, cleaning out, emptying out, so that you can look at the world again through the innocence of a child's eyes. But it feels like in doing that, the idea of doing that creates some kind of emotional confusion. A vulnerability is required. And the energy, the real emotional energy that is perhaps something that we're unconsciously afraid of, or that is subconsciously steering the way we perceive ourselves in the world, is shame. All right, let's get one oracle card just to get a final message about this for us today. Shame is one of those emotions that really can be quite a driver of decisions and perceptions and choices. And it's a self-perception that can lie very, very deeply inside of ourselves, and we can be quite not aware of it. Okay, let's take this one. All right, we have self-control. Interesting, very interesting. You can see this character is actually in a meditation pose. You can see the higher self here. And what is happening with these people? They almost look like, I don't know if the camera, yeah, I think you can see that. They almost look like zombies. So self-control It's exactly kind of what I was talking about here, right? So let's see. Even though it doesn't show here, this card is bringing into the picture the idea that's around this, which is actually all very calm, is a lot of change. It might be in the micro aspects of your life. It might be just, the world, which is generally quite a crazy, hectic place, and globally we really are going through it in all kinds of ways. So when there is a lot of change, it does give rise to uncertainty, anxiety, it can bring stress. Maybe this really is one of those moments that, to the extent that we find ourselves just here, now, today, in some kind of whirlwind of change or a lot of movement, it could be coming from people around us, situations around us. This is what's been asked for over and over again. Time out. Don't be drawn into the drama. This, looking at, this is, now I see this card quite differently actually. This is trying to find one's way out of the drama. But that said, given that it's kind of in the future trajectory, which could be later today or tomorrow, again, this is a very short time scale reading, that a positive kind of reflection on this card is, having done this, taken this time out, gives us the ability to take on board all the different emotional things that get stirred up as a result of whatever change or drama might be happening around you, us. And how do we, calmly consider our different emotional responses so that we don't come out of it feeling a sense of loss and shame, and we also don't allow our fear of loss and shame to drive that process. I also just want to say that at the time of doing this reading, we are in Sagittarius season, and Sagittarius, of course, is the third of the fire signs in the zodiac, and so it's all about being active and adventurous and energetic. So when I talk about meditation, my sense is actually, rather than this more traditional idea of meditation as withdrawal and quietude, I think for today, the energy, the meditation is climbing up that mountain rather than sitting on the mountain. So I'm just putting that out there. I am so curious to see how this plays out for me today. And if anyone is watching, I would be really interested to hear how it may resonate and play out for you. So until tomorrow,